how much experience and what kind of credibility do these companies have?
We do want to make sure that what we put our name on looks good and is right or on brand.
I think governments will definitely start getting more creative in time.
What's making real estate agents scared is that it's potentially going to reduce the need for physical agents. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the CLOUT podcast. I'm Montana.
I'm Logan.
And I am Nate.
So this week, we are going to kick things off a little differently with some trending topics that are happening in real estate right now, even some things we just sent to each other right before the podcast, and we want to break it down. So are you guys ready?
Let's do it. I love this.
So Remax, we all know the little hot air balloon. They just went through a rebrand. How are you guys feeling about this rebrand, their new little hot air balloon? What are our thoughts? It doesn't even have the words on it anymore.
Yeah, I think that I ended up leaving a comment. I usually don't leave comments, but I felt passionate about this one. And I just simply said it could have been better. And you're looking at a company that is massive, that spent probably, I would imagine, months going back and forth to create a logo that looks like the Pepsi logo. And I think that it's just like really unfortunate that there's just no taste in the rebrand. I mean, people made a joke and said they removed the name because no one knows what the name means anyways. And it's so right. It's like, I don't really even know what Remax stands for, let alone what that hot air balloon has anything to do with the company as a whole. But, I kudos to them for rebranding and trying to stay modern. I think that's overall a good sign. I don't want to get stuck talking poorly about Remax, but I do think that they missed a huge opportunity there to take a legacy brand and make it something that looked a lot cooler and sleeker. It just kind of goes to show that some of these legacy brands are trying to do the things that they need to do, but unfortunately, there may be some lack of knowledge or just the right direction for trying to stay hip and trendy. So that's what I gotta say on Remax.
I've got something for you. I mean, I think that they're definitely following the kind of tribe, I guess you could say, where a lot of brands are just simplifying what they've already had because they think it's recognizable enough. We see brands like this all over the world, and especially the biggest brands just simplify it. So like McDonald's, now it's just the Golden Arches. They don't even need the name, right? And many other brands. But I know you work with a lot of our clients, Nate, for creating their logos and brands and stuff like that. If you don't mind, what do you think they could have done differently, or what do you see the opportunity that they may have missed?
I think they were going for this modern kind of look, but as far as like what we're seeing from our clients, you're looking at individual agents who are probably not known on a national level. So it's a little bit more difficult to just have a standalone letter or icon that symbolizes who they are. So we tend to see a trend of incorporating last names or the group of the name in a sleek and modern way. But for Remax, I really do think that they could have had a way cooler look that was a little bit more sleek to the hot air balloon. I mean, it really just looks like an oblong Pepsi logo, and it has really bad shading in it. And I just think that shading, I mean, unless you have like animations and effects and you're utilizing that, the logos to be modern probably could just end up being a little bit more flat, but that's kind of my 2 cents.
My thoughts are not that anybody really that person probably got paid so much money to do such little work. You literally just removed letters and kept the same balloon. They got paid so much to do that though. Like, I want that person's job to where you don't really have to do your job and you get a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's funny because me and Logan actually joke about this quite frequently because there was a company that we were talking to for our company Shooter. This was probably about 6 months ago. And we were in the middle of trying to design our logo for Shooter. And we've designed the logos for CLOUT, for Omni, and we actually did pay somebody to do the logo creation and branding for Shooter, but it just wasn't it. So we ended up doing it ourselves. They work with like huge companies like Facebook. They did the whole Facebook rebrand before Meta. What they did was like just kind of angle the fonts a little bit differently for the text. And then for Asana, they worked with Asana. And what they did was really just change the color palette, like same logo, just change the color palette. We told them, like I inquired, was just like, hey, we're looking to do this. They're like, what's your budget? And I was just like, they're working with these big brands. Like let's just say that our budget's 50 grand, and they hit us back. They're just like, okay, well, for 30 grand, we can basically just tell you what to do. There was like no deliverables. There was like no plan. It was just like for 30 grand, like you could like we'll tell you what you probably already know. And it's really crazy that things like that exist because, I mean, you're looking at somebody like Meta or Asana, and they're paying, I'm sure, at least over $1 million for those types of things, let alone website rollouts and signage or advertisements and the look and feel of everything. So, I mean, well over $1 million. But yeah, it's just really interesting to know, like, maybe just change that color palette and pay me 30 grand to do that. So I don't know. Have you guys encountered like anything like that, or have seen some brands that you would kind of rework differently?
Not really. I follow the brands and stuff, but it just makes you think like how much experience and what kind of credibility do these companies have that are essentially consulting, like you were saying, Nate, with that one company. It's definitely not one person. It's probably a team that looks over a lot of data, and it's more of like a data driven sort of decision, right? Like how do these colors make people feel? It could be like they might survey thousands of people or something. I'm not sure exactly what goes into detail, but it makes you think like they've got to know what they're talking about, right? They just have to. There's no way that someone's in there just saying something simple, but you never know. I mean, it's kind of like in the business, the more pricier you are, the people that have money are like, let me see what this person's got, and we definitely work with some people like that where they're just like, hey, give me the best you got. And then you have the people that are just trying to milk the system.
Yeah, I really think that you're saying, the credibility, your portfolio, and the data-driven stuff. I feel like there's probably some testing that goes on in the background, and they have a whole bunch of beta testers that are choosing different colors that are slightly off by just like 1%. And yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, there's different options out there for brands, but I feel like I find myself looking at brands or coming across signage and just being like, that doesn't really make sense. Or like, I think that shape could have been different, or they should have reversed the colors or things like that. But that's just, I feel like maybe how my brain works.
My brain kind of works like that too, but I'll notice a bad one, but what really gets me is I'll sometimes buy something just because I like the way the packaging looks or something like that, because I'm like, oh, this is so aesthetic looking. I love how it looks. So I kind of can relate that a bit.
Yeah, presentation is like, I would say like 99% of it, right? Just before this call, I was looking for some people to help us with our omni deliveries, like website management or like website design type stuff, that they could help us facilitate that. And I was just looking at this person's portfolio, and like the quality looks pretty decent, and it looks equivalent to a lot of the other people that I was seeing. And the difference is that he managed to showcase his portfolio in a way using like laptop and phone graphics with like a whole like just background color and text overlay, where some of these other people were just like screenshots. And it's just like, that person is going to go the extra mile, or like at least you could just understand that person gets it because they just know how to present it well. Like they know what they're working with. And I think that that's a lot of what we try and do as well. Like even on our, really like anything that we put out there, we want to make sure that it's pretty good. We don't want to like, get stuck analysis paralysis, but we do want to make sure that what we put our name on looks good and is right or on brand. And it just really does make a difference, because I for sure feel better using a product when I know that like the packaging wasn't jank. It's like if you open up something like the iPhone, I mean, that was a huge, I can't remember. I'm reading the Steve Jobs book, and like they not sunk, but they invested millions of dollars into the experience of opening the iPhone. And something that they did was they made the box weighted. So the reason why they did that was because, and the way that you like pull it off, they wanted to have you feel the experience of like unveiling something. So the way they did that was like kind of a suctioned box so that it would just be like, and like, pop open. And then they also made it weighted so that when you're done pulling your stuff out, and we're probably all guilty of this if you have an iPhone or Apple products, is looking at the box and like being like, what else is in here? I know there's more. Like when I was younger, like vividly remember like tearing open like an iPhone box to be like, I just know there's something else in here, and it just keeps you wanting more. And they literally did research going into that, because from the concept of buying the product to in the store to opening it to experiencing it was all a whole process. So it goes a long way. It starts with your brand.
Shout out to Remax for helping us get this podcast started. Like, you guys could have done better, you know?
Yeah, if they need some help, let us know.
No, truly. We're launching something new I think you guys could benefit from. And it's funny, Apple started taking things out. Remember when we used to get a cube? Now we don't.
Yeah.
They don't give us cubes anymore. They started giving us less, and we still love it. So,
They're gonna just sell us a box next.
That was a Tim Cook thing. Hey, let's make some more money by switching up the cube to a USB-C and now selling it for $30.
Yeah. I got some bones to pick with Tim Cook.
we have another one, and I know when I say this name, like some people love him, some people hate him. Let's just throw it out there. DeSantis. He is endorsing the plan to eliminate property taxes in Florida. So he is gung-ho on this. A lot of people are worried that it's going to be good short term, but long term could take away from some of the other things because they already don't have, I think it's like income tax. So what are your guys' thoughts on this plan? What does it mean for real estate agents, people moving, the economy? Like, what does this mean?
Definitely going to bring people into Florida if it goes through. So it's expensive to live in California where we're living, and I mean, just property taxes, income taxes, all of this. But you see a majority of like billionaires and the super rich and elite moving to Florida when they want to retire, and then cashing out their stocks, bonds, and all of their assets because they're not being taxed. So Florida's always been a hotspot for people to retire, right? But I think Florida has a good idea of how it's going to benefit them because it's going to bring people in with money. It's already having people, not pay that income taxes, and moving there when they're retired, they've got money. So that money's going to be spent elsewhere. I'm not sure what the other taxes are, sales tax and things are, for them to run the, state government. But I entertain the idea. I think it's cool. It's just going to get more people with money to move there. So maybe it's a big smart move for them.
Yeah.
I was actually born in Florida. I don't know if you guys know this. And so like I still have a lot of family there. And my grandma now, my mom takes care of her in Georgia, but still has all the property taxes and stuff. And like my mom's now doing it. And she's even been to the point where she's like, this isn't even worth us to keep because the property taxes are so high. So it is pretty high for the people in Florida and things like that. So I think it could help, and I never thought about that, just bringing in people with more money.
Yeah, I think so I had to do just a quick search real quick because I was interested. I was like, are there any other states with no property tax? And Florida would be the first. And I think that, what other ways there's always some sort of caveat, right? And I feel like, will it be for everyone? Will it be for new builds? Will it be starting in 2030? Will it be, this and that? And will it drive people to move there beforehand? And will they earn some more money before that comes into effect? I'm not too versed on the bill or whatever it is, the details are, but I can imagine that it would spur some sort of growth. And I think that, maybe we could learn from something like this. I think that the government's whole idea right now is to earn money from other countries by tariffs and just really taxing on how we do business abroad. And I think that if we use that model, there could be an option for us to start building a little bit more foundation here in the States. And you never know, it could happen. I know it's definitely, you know, hot topic talking about this type of stuff. But I think overall, I mean, if the state does well and people are happy and everyone's doing all right and nobody's not benefiting from it, you know, why not?
As someone who doesn't own a home, I'm like, keep the property tax. Like, just cut all of our income tax.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a good start. And I know that kind of leads into our next topic we're discussing. But I think that if we're able to figure out a way to keep more money in our pockets and use it, spending it on, you know, businesses or, you know, doing things around our cities and really investing in our cities that way instead of, you know, like making them produce certain activities or attractions so that people can enjoy, you know, what the state has to offer or city has to offer. I think that's a way better way of going about it. Just like here in San Antonio, where I'm at currently, is they have a river, the whole river walk, and they have these boat rides and they do tours and it's owned by the city. And I think that they said like on busy days, they have like 10,000 people doing these rides, you know, throughout the day. And I think it was 15 bucks a pop. So 10,000 times 15. I mean, you're looking at $150,000 in a day. And, you know, that's revenue for the city. And, you know, it shows your city off in a different way opposed to just like being like, thanks for working and give me your money type of thing. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think governments will definitely start getting more creative in time, you know, with how they tax, how they run the budgets and stuff. And we're already seeing a lot of change, you know, now. But you know, when I'm thinking about taxes, there's a lot of older people in America that, you know, have owned their homes for many years, and they bought them for, you know, 4, 5, 10x, you know, less than the value is now. And the reason why they're staying in them is because if they were to sell and buy another home, their property taxes would go through the roof, and they're not. A lot of them aren't making that type of income to afford that. So, you know, if that bill were to pass, you'd see a lot more activity and a lot more stimulation in the economy with, you know, trading houses and stuff. And I mean, you see a lot of old people in like 2-story homes, and they're like, I haven't been upstairs in years. So, you know, needing to downsize. And I think that would definitely, if anything, there might be some sort of criteria that allows these older people to be able to sell without having to, you know, have their property be reassessed for that tax, that property tax or something like that.
That was like the saddest part of the fires. It's not has to do with tax, but like when like they've been in those homes for like 30, 40, like passed down like generations from family, like they can't afford a house, like especially with the tax. Like now that property is worth so much, and now it's burnt, and now just that was the saddest part about the fires was the older people and things like that.
Yeah, it was really sad too to see people like just unapologetic for them because they're like, oh, they're rich and they can afford it. And it's like, no, like majority of those people had that home forever and they've had it and can't pay for a new home. And yeah, it really sucks. Hopefully, going back really quickly to just the way that government's running is I kind of compare it to like software and the way that the government's revenue model is really taxes and they take it and they invest it back into the markets and whatever. But kind of look at it like software and apps, right? Like in the very beginning, it was almost like a broken model, like of having people just pay for an app that they never got to try out until they started doing like the free trials for the apps. And then they started doing freemium, where it's like you can use it for free and you can pay for stuff, upgrades or whatever it is, even games. And then like eventually it kind of spilled into like video games, and Fortnite was like, hey, we can actually have a console game and sell things in the game to make revenue. And you're looking at, billions of dollars there. And now Call of Duty followed suit, and they're giving away these games for free. And it's like, there are more creative ways to earn money. And if you have a good product, if you have a good city, you have a good state, there's opportunities to earn money from the residents there, just other than just taking their money.
I love that. That's so good. And the next two stories are kind of leaning in towards what we're going to talk about for the day and things that we're rolling out here at CLOUT. So this one really intrigued me, and so bear with me. There is a Portuguese real estate broker. I'm going to butcher his name. Porta di Fronte. I don't know. He's leveraged a startup of AI's technology to generate $100 million in sales, which is going to allow customers to interact with an AI agent. Basically, he can provide virtual assistance, property information, and it's kind of what they're saying is it's going to open up because of, like you said, mentioned earlier, like time zones, different countries. This Jonah guy believes it's going to revolutionize the real estate industry by enhancing that customer service experience. So, and what's the scariest part is it's what's making real estate agents scared is that it's potentially going to reduce the need for physical agents. Now, what do you guys think about that?
I mean, we've toyed with the idea before. I know before we decided to create Shooter and start developing it, we were discussing a certain tool like this, and it had a little bit more to do with 3D tours and being able to use 3D models and using AI to generate 3D models to create a whole bunch of ways to experience a home. And I really just think that you can't be everywhere at once. And I think that the founder made that point, and especially in different time zones. And if you have something like an AI avatar that you build and you have a database with all the information and details about the properties, like I think it's going to be a really smooth transition to obtaining more information about a home or a property in general. And you can see Amazon having already done something like this with their AI assistant Rufus on Amazon. And it's able to take in information about the product that you're searching up, and you can ask it questions that aren't even there, and it could generate a response like to the best of its ability and answer your question about the product. And I think that real estate is definitely something that has a lot of information and data about it, whether if it's the pricing or neighborhood or comps or features. There's just a lot of information out there. And if you can make it easier for consumers to understand and digest and learn about it, it makes the process of selling something a lot easier because they're educated on making the conscious decision of buying that home. But do you remember us talking about that, Logan?
Yeah, I think the startup or business, I don't know how far along they are. I think it's really smart. It's definitely a step in the direction AI is growing into, like having, what they call it, agentic AI, I believe. When you look at people's occupations and you look at the things these people do day to day, is it replaceable? Can AI replace it? And that's a question you really should ask, because if it can, then it will. There's certain things that aren't going to be replaced, right? But I remember someone asked me a question. I don't remember who it was, but they said, do you think technology in the future will replace your job, Logan? And this is at the time where I was, doing real estate photography. And I was thinking, I was like, well, I don't really think so, because it's really an art. And then I really challenged myself. I said, well, what would this look like in the future? Right? What would this look like to make it as accurate and as realistic to producing, actual stuff without having, like a render, or maybe that might be acceptable in the future. But I was like, well, maybe there could be a drone that just takes off from wherever and it just flies into the house and creates all this content and does, 3D tours and photos and videos. It just does it by itself. And and it's more affordable than having someone, hire us. It might be $100 versus $1,000 or whatnot. So I don't know. I definitely think that AI will really start taking jobs, but when you think of AI and what it's at today with accessibility to information and being able to process it so quickly, I think if someone was saying, hey, I'm looking for a home in San Francisco, something that has 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and I need enough room that kind of I could put an office and I kind of want some views. I'm sure an AI can look at that information way quicker than a human can and filter it and pull up more information than a regular agent can. So I mean, I think it's scary. I think the best thing that agents can do to prepare for something like this coming is, man, to know your stuff and know it so well and give the type of service. And you have to realize that a lot of these AIs and new companies are just going to undercut because their costs are far lower. So they're going to undercut their commissions, agents' commissions. So you gotta be on it.
Yeah. And I think too, where a lot of people go wrong when thinking about the future is that they try and solve tomorrow's problems with today's knowledge. And it was something I actually was talking to my family about, and they were just like trying to come up with this idea. And they're like, no, that wouldn't work. But I'm just like, well, what happens if there was like a totally different technology that we haven't discovered that actually does that? And then they're just kind of like thinking, and I'm like, you can't think about the future with today's knowledge and what's going on today. And if you're thinking about AI as what you can understand about it now is just something you type into, like, you're already 10 years behind. Like, you're way late if that's your only understanding of it. And like, you're talking about the capabilities of having something that has like almost all knowledge of what it is that you're looking at and can know and understand the world around you faster than you can even blink. And that's the type of tools that you're up against. And whether if it's in your glasses or in a contact or in your brain eventually, like, that's the type of thoughts you should be having before dismissing something like this, because technology grows at a very rapid pace, and all it takes is a small minority to pick it up and to like it, and then all of a sudden it's what everybody has to do.
That's so true, because literally just like 6 years ago when I was in college, we were studying like psychology, and we were talking about like self-driving cars, like the morals, I guess, of the self-driving car. Like, does it hit this curb or whatever? Does it hit this dog? Whatever. And I just remember being in class literally like 6 years ago. I was like, oh my God, that is going to be so scary, so far away in the future. And then literally, like, I'm in a Waymo the other day. So it happens really quick.
Going back to the Waymo discussion, is my mother-in-law said the same thing. She's like, I'll never get in one of those. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I don't know. I think maybe you might just one day. And when you start looking at statistics, it's like chances are it's going to be a lot safer. It's like, I know that planes are a hot topic right now because a lot have been dropping out of the sky, but there's a lot of statistics where it's like you're not going to get into an accident and nothing's going to happen to you on a flight. So it's like millions of chances to one. So when you start to look at things from a statistical standpoint, it tends to make you a little bit more accustomed to what's coming.
And speaking of the statistics, talking about the planes, I think it's just like a confirmation bias that we're seeing it a lot in the news, because I read something online that's like, we're actually having less than what we had last year at this time, but because it's been such a hot topic to report on, we're just getting them every single day. So, but the AI in real estate is kind of weird to me, because I can see where it will affect agents kind of, but to me, as a person that would be going to an agent, I don't think I would want to use AI. Maybe AI to do some research, but if I'm going to actually buy a home that's like probably one of the bigger purchases I'm going to make in my life, I kind of want to do that through a person.
So let me propose something to you real quick. So I just want to pick your brain real quick. So let's say, for example, you're on a website and we've gotten to a point like on Zillow, you have the money that you can spend to buy a house, and an agent's not available to go meet you today at 4 p.m. to go see this house that you're dying to see, right? And if you go in there and you are able to walk it by yourself, and you have some sort of glasses on or something that's showing or talking to you about the different features, where you're at in the home, and you have a very simple shopping cart experience where you're able to just like be like, yes, would you still need or want a person like physically to to process that paperwork for you, or have you already made up your decision and have all the answers that you need in order to purchase?
Okay, well, the antisocial girly in me says I would love that. That would actually like give me peace knowing I can just go look at it myself and wear some glasses and talk to a bot because I love to talk to my bot. But it does worry me because I'm like, will this negotiate to for sure get me the lowest price? But then now you just messed me up, Nate.
It's kind of wild. I mean, you could relate the experience to something like Carvana, right? Where yeah, back then you have to go to a dealership, talk to a car salesman, and now it's just like you could look up all these cars online. They have incredible photos and different types of tours where you could see the interiors and everything like that. You could see the history of the car, and it just has that great shopping experience. And they'll go as far as dropping it off in the front of your house, and they'll probably say, hey, 30-day money back guarantee or something. So now you're like, what?
Yeah, my thing with the Carvana is the smell of a used car. Like I want to smell it before I buy it.
Yeah. But if you think about though, like shopping for real estate with some sort of experience like this, I mean, you could totally do like track homes, right? Standard homes, like your normal stuff, because there's not a lot of difference between all of the comps, right? So, I mean, you could just really experience it that way and shop that way. But I mean, I think where the agent wins over the AI for now would be, let's say you're shopping in a not sort of subdivision, right? And you're in the hills. How does an AI understand that view you're getting, right? Or how does that AI understand how crummy that
Computer
neighbor is?
vision.
Yeah, so having an agent that you hire that says, "Hey, like, they listed this home, but this lot is way bigger than what it looks like," or hey, this has the potential to build an ADU in the back, or this insight that an agent has that a lot of variables that an AI is going to read online isn't going to be able to see, right? So I think that that's really where an agent is more important. And chances are, if you're trying to buy your first Lambo, you're not going to buy it on Carvana. You're going to go to the dealership, you're going to sit in it.
So this is the thing. And first, I want to say that I disagree with the bot being able to see that, because there is the technology out there to where is that, for example, if you wanted to cut commission prices as a consumer or as a home seller, and you're able to, like, let's say the phones advance to a point where in 5 years, like you can do your 3D tour within like 5 seconds just by walking through the home real quick, and you're able to upload it, and the AI is able to take in all of that information and is able to create selling points, and it uses computer vision to analyze the different views and stuff like that. I mean, that stuff is possible right now. So I think to just push back a little bit on what you're saying about that, I think, that is possible, but this isn't going to just happen overnight, right? Let's say, for example, we have a platform or an experience where before going to an Airbnb, like, let's just say you don't even have to press go to rent the Airbnb. You can walk through it, you can see it, and if you want to stay in it, you just press go and you have your reservations right there. Like if you start somewhere like that where you don't have so much of an investment in it, like, let's go as far as to renting. Instead of having a year-long contract that you need to rent in an apartment, let's go ahead and just go to month, and you can go in there and you can have an AI talk about all this, the amenities and all the types of things around the building, and sell you on it. And you don't have so much buy-in. You don't have to sign a year contract. So if you start getting creative with the way that you can live in a house before you buy it for 30 days or 60 days, like then you start kind of messing with the psychology of making a purchase like that. So it doesn't just happen overnight. It doesn't go from 0 to 100. It's a very slippery slope on how tech advances and user adoption. So lots of things to consider in that realm, I think.
So this is where we've been talking a lot about the CRM that we're about to launch, and this is where I read this story and I was like, wait, are we competing with Zillow now? So this is a spicy story. Former Zillow executives, so people that used to work at Zillow, have launched their own AI-powered assistant called House Whisperer, which is really just there to be an administrative assistant to real estate agents. So it's not AI agent like the first story. This is an assistant that is meant to help agents, with their cell phones, enhancing their efficiency, interactions through automation. And I'm reading this story and I'm like, wait, this is what we're doing. So can we chat about this? What's going on? Did they steal our idea? Like, what's going on?
I wanted to say one thing as we first jump in. Zillow is playing the long game of eliminating real estate agents entirely. And with technology as it is today, with machine learning, thousands of agents will use it, and it will learn from thousands of agents. And then it will learn how to be the best agent. And then they'll say, thank you, bye. That's really what's going to happen with Zillow. And it's kind of with technology. We sacrifice our security. We sacrifice a lot privacy, security for ease, for convenience, and that's what's going to happen with a lot of these AI agents and stuff for ran by a company with Zillow, because they have the buyers and sellers pretty much in their hands, with all the information. So when someone wants to see what their home's worth, they get their estimate. When someone wants to buy a home, they try and schedule a tour and sell that lead. So they're already managing the lead, and they're saying, hey, we still need agents to do these things. But once they don't need agents, they're going to be very well trained to do that thing.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say something very similar. And Follow Up Boss is a very popular CRM that Zillow now owns. And I remember I'm in like the Follow Up Boss groups and realtor groups on Facebook and stuff. And I'm just constantly just doing some recon. But immediately people were like leaving Follow Up Boss. They're like, oh my God, like Zillow's the enemy. Like a lot of realtors actually do not like Zillow because a lot of them feel like Logan is saying they're really trying to go after the long game and they're using the agents to get their data. And it's kind of like similar to the whole Uber approach. And it's like, the company may be hemorrhaging money on trying to build this thing, but they've grown to create a platform where they don't need to eventually pay drivers anymore. They could just use self-driving cars. And they built the platform, trusted platform that people go to get a car. Zillow is building the trusted platform that people go to get a house. And if you look at it like that, really what agents are doing with Zillow by putting their homes on there or using their lead generation and teaching their AIs how to outplay them is exactly that. And it's interesting to see. I do think that what we're creating is similar in a way, and I think that regarding are we doing the same thing that they're doing, I wouldn't say necessarily, because we're not really trying to put out agents from their jobs, but we are offering a way for agents to run their business more easily. And I think that's probably going to be the main difference there.
So I feel like I get smarter, but I never thought of it that way. Like the long game, that is so crazy. And it's so funny because right before this podcast, I was listening to another podcast talking about how Uber drivers have now been complaining because their like wages started getting cut in half, because at first, like with the tech jobs, you don't have to be necessarily profitable, whatever. And so my mind is just blown because I'm like, I was literally just listening to stuff about how like Uber's literally like they took away the cab drivers' jobs now like the drivers that are driving are getting paid less and less and less because they're trying to probably replace them soon with like self-driving cars. That is so crazy.
You know what's really crazy? I mean, if you kind of dig deep into how this all kind of started, and this probably is very similar to many industries, but every real estate agent has to be affiliated with the National Association of Realtors. And after the National Association of Realtors, you have your state association of realtors, so California Association of Realtors. And then you have a ton of local associations that are kind of per county and stuff like that. And each agent has to pay like $1,000 a year to be a part of this association, right? And this association is for lobbying, it's for doing a lot of things that protect the agent. Here you are, now you have like the MLS, and the MLS is, built by the different associations and trusted by them, and it's all supported within the community. And somewhere along the line, back in the past, they decided to start selling information as an IDX feed, which Zillow pays for. So Zillow pays for an IDX to access all of the information. And maybe they didn't think what was to come of it, but that was the start of a really bad move that the association totally failed on all its paying members to hold the strength of the occupation and the future of real estate. And literally they shot themselves in the foot and they're going to bleed out from it. And it's really sad because we're going to see a lot of technologies evolve. And I think at the end of the day, when you think of B2B businesses and B2C, consumers don't care about B2B. They just care about what they're paying for, and they want to pay the cheapest amount to get the best the best service. So at the end of the day, I mean, a lot of businesses are just going to be eaten up by other businesses, and then it's just going to be more affordable to the consumer, and the consumer doesn't care, right? The consumer doesn't care. Like if you told me right now, that you're shopping for a house and you have to pay $10,000 for your agent to help you buy a house, or you could do it for free using Zillow, you're going to use Zillow no matter how much you care about that friend. It's just, sorry, the technology in the future is just really going to change. And the best thing businesses could do is just give the best level of experience and watch out for the competition. Look at their pricing, look at what they offer, and stay competitive, because you might just have to use a CRM like ours and business tools to make your life more efficient. And you might, instead of doing 20 deals a year, you might do 40, but you charge half the price. But you're able to do it with the technology and systems. And if you don't use the tech and systems, you're going to drive yourself nuts or out of business. So some things to think about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I mean, like if you were to just compare us to and how we've grown our company to other independent photographers who are juggling all these different things or don't even really have like let's say like how we originally started to do business. If you were to compare that with how we're doing business now, like the main difference is the tech and systems behind our day-to-days, right? And we're able to have additional people like yourself, Montana, like Blake, and like April, like Paul, like so many others that are helping us, but we wouldn't be able to like have these outlets and things to do without these systems in place and like having that direction. And that's where a lot of agents or businesses really just get stuck at a very stagnant growth, is that they just can't scale. And a lot of that comes from having the right software that you're using in your business. And you can see how a lot of top agents outperform just average agents because they have the systems in place. They have a CRM that works for them. They have virtual assistants that are, doing transactions, coordination, or whatever it may be for them in their part of the deal. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's you just got to make sure that you have the right tech powering your business, and if not, you're really going to lose out.
No, that's so real. That's so real. And I think I'm glad for the clarification, because I never thought about Zillow like trying to play long game, but so we're definitely not trying to replace agents. Like we need agents for our stuff too. So that's definitely one of the main differences. But how you've been talking, we're about like a month out from the launch, like when this launches, like we're less than a month out when this launches. But how have you been framing this, like when you're talking about it to agents? I know you had a call with someone yesterday. Maybe she wasn't necessarily like a real estate agent, but she's adjacent to the industry. So what's like been the biggest pain point, or like what's been the biggest like thing that has made them be like, yes? Because I do think because of all that Zillow stuff that you just talked about, like agents are a bit scared of AI and scared to, maybe automate some things, a little bit scared to change. So what's been some of those conversations like in regards to the Omni CRM?
Yeah, so the call that I had yesterday was somebody who has a website. They have an outside software, Honeybook, which helps facilitate invoices and scheduling and stuff like that. There are some type of workflows in there to follow up with people and whatnot. But something that was really attractive to them was the fact of keeping everything in one place, all of these softwares. So you can run appointments, you can run automations, you can run your invoices, you can have a website within it that looks really nice. You can send out reviews to people that you've done business with. You can track them in pipelines. You can have drip campaigns all in one place. So Logan and I have actually been going back and forth and talking about, like, there's two ideal candidates. One of them is going to be somebody who doesn't have anything that they don't have any systems. They maybe have a website, but it's not really doing anything for them. And there's going to be the other person, like who I spoke to yesterday, that has all this stuff but wants it all in one place and wants to save money consolidating. And that's really what we're trying to do, is just offer solutions to people really to make their business more efficient overall. Like, this is going to help person A and person B, no matter their tools. It's just going to help things be a lot more efficient. And I think that if we can create workflows that are easy for people to understand, for example, like an open house follow-up, or like a 3-day drip campaign for somebody who filled out a home valuation, stuff that like agents are familiar with, then we could get, a little crafty and be like, okay, like, you sent this postcard out and this person scanned this and filled out this form, and you gave them this lead magnet, and they're going to go into this pipeline and they're going to get hit with this message. And we can get a little bit more technical, but like we mentioned earlier, is like, there's a gradual adoption and ramp for experiencing these types of new things. So we have to start small. We have to give people things that they already know how to use, and grow from there. So it's been fun though. I mean, we're launching April 4th, 4/4, and we already have some people who are buying into the Omni system, and it's exciting. Our goal is to have a demo for 4/4, and we're gonna start getting some signups out here shortly. So if you're hearing this and you're interested, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. We're so excited to bring this to market. And for those of you in sales, the pipeline is the most important part of your business, is getting people into the pipeline and turning them into paying customers. And there's so many playing parts with that, marketing, to bring people into your CRM to nurture them, and to nurture them into eventually getting into your pipeline. So, I mean, for a salesperson, a pipeline is the most important part of your business, and pushing, business through there. So, if you aren't using the technology, this is a great time to start in one place where we have all the right things for you. And if you are using a ton of different platforms, different technologies, this is a great way to consolidate your spending, consolidate the amount of subscriptions and different logins and all of these different things, and connect it all into one place. And if you're running the business off of pen and paper or your head, it's time to level up, because the agents that are on Omni are gonna take your business if you're not on here yourself.
I like that. Yeah, it's bold and totally makes sense. I think anybody who is interested for sure should reach out. And Logan and I discussed that we're going to start doing some free consulting as well for agents who are interested in knowing a little bit more about how to do business better. And that's going to consist of us setting up meetings and talking about a few things that we're experts in. So just systems and creating content, social stuff, as well as any tech stacks that you may need to run your business efficiently. So it would be a good opportunity also just to check in with us and let us know how you're doing and what kind of help as well. But Montana, if you want to hop in on those calls too, I mean, you're perfect for the social stuff. So
No, I would love to. That's so funny, because I literally said last night, I was like, I want to do more like social media consulting. I was like, because sometimes the like managing and everything, it's like a lot, but like if I could just show people what to do or give them advice, anyway, that was just my own personal like long-term goal. But you guys said two things that I was thinking about. One, and so I'll say this one first. Well, two, I'll say this one first. Okay. Is that the webinar that we're doing? Like, we're doing a webinar, right? Have we talked about that on the podcast?
I don't know if we've talked about it, but on 4/4, yeah, that's what's going to be like the launch. It's going to be a webinar. It's going to be limited spots. We don't want a whole bunch of people there, which sounds funny, but we want some serious people who are there and willing to learn a little bit about how to optimize their business. And yeah, I mean, we can maybe, since this is going to launch in a week from now, we can put the link in and make it accessible. So
Totally. Okay, so then the last question I have for the CRM topic, because I think some of our hot topics really went well with us talking about the CRM, and we talked about it last week, so I'm really like loving how this conversation went. But so you said there's two people that this offer is really great for: people that don't have systems, don't have any CRMs, don't have anything like that. Great, so that will be an easy start. When it comes to the people that already do have their website, do have some systems, what is that process like to start them in the Omni CRM? Like, does it take a month? Does it take weeks? Is it a big head? Like, I think sometimes people get scared of change because they're like, well, this is already working. I don't want to change it up. It's going to take too much work to switch everything to one thing. Like, once it got there, it would be good, but that's going to take too long to get. So, what is the process like of if someone already has something and they're looking to switch?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And for the website, we already have like a really, really nice template that's designed that has like a really sleek homepage, and you can feature some listings there. There's a property page that you could duplicate for multiple properties and use that as a lead form. There's buyer and sellers pages, which have home valuation tools. There's also lead magnets. We have buyer and seller guides available when you join, and a ton of other things that are really already completed for you. We just need to switch out the logos and stuff like that. So the person that I spoke with yesterday, I told her that it would probably take a week to get her website plugged in. I imagine it probably being faster than that. And then as far as like creating her systems and whatever else, like that should be in another week. So it really depends like on what types of systems you're running. A lot of people aren't running very complex systems, so it's not going to take, I would imagine, more than a month to get started with us. And we help facilitate that with our amazing team and make it super easy to do. And we have a lot of good stuff already built, like I mentioned. So it makes it really easy.
Wait, I want to join. Like, I've been saying, I have GoDaddy for my website or like whatever, and it did the work, and I hate it every time. I hate it. I don't know how to work it, and I like the only thing, and it has a freaking Outlook email. Like the GoDaddy ones are connected to Outlook. I hate Outlook, and Outlook hates its users. Like Google is so much easier. So yeah, I'm like, I need to get an Omni. Logan, were you gonna say something to that point?
For those of you guys that are afraid of change and all the work it takes, we want to make switching over to the Omni platform as simple and easy as possible for you. So with all of your current subscriptions and CRMs, you should be able to download your data and keep those before actually canceling. And what I would actually do is, keep your subscriptions, keep your business running the way it is, and then hop on one of our trials and put your data in there. And, with that data, you could already kind of see things moving. What's really nice too is we've interviewed countless top agents, top performers to understand their process. And we learned from a lot of different people to figure out what's the most powerful system that could be sort of used as a model for every other agent. So as you start your journey with Omni, you'll have what we call a snapshot of this business model, and you could do adjustments and change things within it, but we want to make it as plug and play as possible. So you should be good there. And in time, there'll be other things you can do to learn more about our platform and do more things. We have a social media management tool that allows you to plan your social media content ahead of time, and you could post it to various platforms with a few clicks of a button. That one's really cool. Like we said, a website that when people do sign some sort of form or property valuation, it goes right into the right place in your CRM, and you know who needs attention. There should be different automations that could be firing off for these these new leads and such. So that way you don't have to actually do everything yourself. And there'll be manual tasks as well. So essentially we'll tell you, hey, you need to call this person, like, they're hot and things like that. Yeah, and there'll be different integrations. So, you could use your Gmail or your domain to connect, your calendar, your availability. We also have a really nice comparable technology to Calendly. So people could book a consultation with you if they want to learn more. There's just so much you can do. And for those agents that, have a hard time of getting reviews at the end of a transaction, at the end of the pipeline, when you're done with the transaction, with a click of a button, you could send a review to your clients. They could give you a review, and it's just an all-in-one dashboard. So it's going to be really sweet. You should be able to measure your progress and figure out how much money's coming in.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually mentioned that about the reviews. You can hook up your Zillow profile and integrate with it. So you can send out your Zillow profile to get reviews to your Zillow profile. Alternatively, you can use Facebook, Google, or whatever it is. And for those that have a website, if it's hosted on WordPress, you can host your WordPress website within Omni. And then let's say like you love your website and you don't want to change anything, but you want to use your CRM, you can actually embed different forms from Omni into your website, your existing website. It doesn't even have to be an Omni website. And those leads can funnel right into our CRM so that you don't have to redesign your website or anything like that. So if you have a website and you want a CRM, we can still help you out.
Going back to like that last story about like Zillow and our app, what's different, and I do think that I don't think people realize and understand we have several like team calls a week, and every single call you guys literally are just trying to make real estate agents jobs easier. You care so much about every person you work with, and so I'm really excited to start seeing this stuff roll out more, and to the excitement, the text I got from the person yesterday just really made me excited because I'm like, it's in motion, these things, we've all been talking about since like August, and I know that's just when I met you guys, so you guys have been talking about this for so long. To see it finally come to fruition is really cool to watch.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And we appreciate you too for being able to identify that need for her and be able to provide her that service that we're offering. Because, without you being able to see that and understand her needs, like we would probably not talk to her about it because we just wouldn't know. So, kudos to you too for understanding.
Well, it's because last week we had a very in-depth podcast where the first question I asked was, what is a CRM? So when I figured out what it is, now I know what it is. I just kept like nodding in the calls like, yeah. But now that I know what it is, I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's so true.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's it can actually work for any business too. So that's one of the reasons like we actually named it Omni, was that we wanted to separate it from CLOUT, because we can set up Omni for other businesses, like the person we talked to yesterday. She, like you said, is adjacent to real estate, but she's not a realtor, and we can set up unique systems and unique flows where like something like Follow-Up Boss is primarily for realtors. So, depending on your business, like if you want to include people who are doing inspections, or if you want to include us on your pipelines when your seller gets to a certain stage of the transaction process, it can shoot us out a text message and says, hey, we're ready for photos at this listing, and you don't even have to do anything, let alone like whenever you get into contract with somebody, you can just have it all automated. As soon as you send it out, you just press a button to send out the contract with all of the things, all the fields populate based upon the information from the house. Once they sign it, it gets kicked back to you and you don't have to do anything. Like, it just really is smart for anybody that has a business that needs the tools that we're talking about. And we'll help set it up. So
Totally. Okay, so Logan, did you want to mention anything before we close this out? I really have enjoyed this podcast, guys. Lucky number 13. Look at us.
I like the flows. I like the topics. This is my first time having a topical discussion like this, like with all of us. I know Logan, our founder one, was kind of like that, but it's cool it is different. I feel a difference just talking about topics versus like being hit with a question. It just kind of is giving our own 2 cents into things versus like more interview kind of style. So it's cool. I like it.
It's so weird because I've been really I think about podcasts a lot. Like, that's my favorite thing is podcasts. I love social media, don't get me wrong, but I would love to just work only in podcasts. But the future, I think, of podcasting is these group format podcasts. Because I keep seeing them more and more and more. And so I'm really excited to keep evolving it. I think we can bob and weave our topics that we want to discuss for the week, but keep it topical with things going on. So I'm really glad you guys were down for this, because I was just like, we got it. Like, this is working for these other podcasts. Let's make it work for ours too.
Yeah, so this will be my last thing because I know I've been talking a lot, but you're talking about the future of podcasting, and something that I realized, so Severance, for all the Severance fans out there, and it's a really cool show, but it's caught up to its second season now, and it's releasing an episode a week. And something that we found was that they have a podcast released every week talking about the episode. And it just blew my mind. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like a completely new way of like getting more from a TV show. And they talk about like the episode in depth about like what was going on. And I was just like, this is genius. Like, this is so smart. Like, every TV show should be having this in-depth look, let alone like, TV interviews about the show and stuff. But the podcast was so nice. It was like something you could just flip on and be like, oh wow, I didn't see it that way. Or the producer or director was talking about the reason why they did this, and the character was supposed to feel this. And I was like, this was just amazing. Really appreciated that. And it's cool.
Yeah, that's why HBO is the best. They do that for all their like shows. They do the one like now for White Lotus. So in like on all their big shows, they like have a companion podcast. I even remember like on the last season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, they were doing that too, like having the cast on there. So like all their big shows, they do that, and I'm like, that's why y'all are the best. But I think they care, like, not to crap on any other production company, because whatever, who am I? But I think they care more about like the art of making stuff than like Netflix just like kind of some of these series. It's so funny, we talked about a Netflix show last week that Logan put on and he like immediately turned off. So I'm like, I think that HBO just cares more, and like those companion podcasts are crazy. And I just love seeing how even podcasting is evolving,
Mm-hmm. It's very neat.
All right, so is that, Logan, anything else from you this week?
No, I'm very happy with how things are going with the podcast, and I'm excited to see them when they come out. I listen to them on Spotify. Sometimes I'll watch them on YouTube, and I mean the evolution has already you could already see. So thank you for you and the team for putting in that work, and I just can't wait to see what episode 26 looks like. This wouldn't be possible without having someone who's passionate and loves podcasts as you do, Montana. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. You guys give me hope in healthy work environments. So thanks. So if you guys are enjoying this podcast, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, hit the bell so you get our notifications. Follow us on Instagram for all these Omni updates at CLOUT Agents. Bye.